Well, joining me now from Chigwell in Essex is the businessman and star of The Apprentice, Lord Sugar. You're an employer. Were the 260,000 people who came into Britain in the last year good for Britain, or is it a problem?
Immigrants coming into Britain that are prepared to work hard and contribute to the economy are not a problem, and we can encourage those people to come in. I heard earlier in your programme talking to some Polish people that have been here for a long while. It is a known fact that the Polish community helped contribute to the construction industry boom in the past few years. I don't have a problem, and I'm sure no one here has a problem with any immigrant coming in from the EU who's prepared to work hard, pay their taxes and blend into society. The problem is that we have been a soft touch, and there's got to be a reason why people queue up at the borders of Calais trying to get in here illegally, let alone legally, because we are known as a soft touch country. And the measures that David Cameron mentioned today, which happens to coincidentally replicate some of the recommendations that the Labour Party has been saying, and funny enough, was part of a speech that I prepared on Europe this week in the debate. Yes, they're all fine, and they're great promises, but what I think we've got to ask Mr Cameron, or indeed anybody else, is how's he going to get it through? Because I don't think the decision is in his hands. And I think that is the whole problem with Europe. All of this nonsense spoken by that man with the beer in his hand about pulling out of Europe,
Do you mean Nigel
is
Farage?
total nonsense. We can, yeah, whatever his name is, we can ill afford to move out of Europe. I mean, the implications, just take, for example, the City of London. It is known unofficially or officially as the central financial point of Europe. The investment that's in the City of London from foreign banks and institutions and insurance companies is enormous. If we went out of Europe, all of those people would run away.
So do you think David Cameron...
The jobs,
Sorry to interrupt, but do you think David Cameron has kind of steered away from a confrontation with Europe because he's dropped all that talk of ending free movement of Europe that we knew the rest of Europe weren't going to go along with? I mean, has he put Britain on a sort of slightly more secure footing?
Well, I'm not quite sure what he's playing at, really. I mean, as I say, you've got the guy with the glass of beer in his hand who is shouting about coming out of Europe. And I see Mr Cameron and indeed, the Labour Party also taking opportunities of saying, well, we're not going to move out, but we're going to do something similar to what Mr Farage is saying, as if they're frightened of his suggestions. The fact of the matter is that we need reform in this country to do with the European rules and regulations, okay? And we need a government and a Prime Minister to stand up to Europe and, in some cases, say no. And just not accept some of the punitive stuff that is imposed upon us by Brussels.
I mean, the
it's all very well.
You sort of been very nice about Polish people tonight, but I mean, in the past you have described Britain as, being seen as the land of milk and honey. That people come here and within weeks they're claiming benefits and they're on the national health. I mean, isn't that sort of joining in the demonisation of immigrants when the vast majority of European immigrants come here to work? And very, very few actually end up, as a proportion, claiming benefits.
I hope I don't have the statistics at hand. And as I said earlier on, for those that come here with the intention of working hard and contributing to the economy, very, very good luck to them. But it is a fact, and I'm not sure whether it's been over-elaborated by our friends in the media, that people come here and before you know it, they've got houses given to them, they're on benefit system, they're claiming benefits for their children that are abroad. It is a nonsense, a total nonsense.
What do you think of the way Ed Miliband's handled this? You haven't been a huge fan of his, according to reports recently. I mean, is he part of the problem too?
Well, he hasn't handled anything yet. I mean, it's not for him to handle. It's the suggestions that Ed Miliband has made and the Labour Party have made are very similar to what Mr Cameron has announced today. I mean, Mr Cameron talks of 4 years until someone can get benefits. Ed Miliband suggested 2 years. They also suggested fingerprint controls so as that we can keep a track on the people coming and going. Also suggested maybe 1,000 more people at the surveillance point of when they come in.
But are you an Ed Miliband supporter now? Because I mean, you were quoted recently saying you wanted Gordon Brown back.
I don't think I was quoted saying I wanted Gordon Brown back. I said that Gordon Brown made a very good speech in Scotland, and I think that he was unfortunate when he was ousted out of his position as Prime Minister and blamed for an economic crisis which was not his fault or not our government's fault at the time. It was a worldwide issue. So I've cleared that up for you. I'm finishing off by answering your question. It would not surprise me. We've got Cameron talking about 4 years. We've got Miliband saying no, 2 years. It won't surprise me tomorrow if Clegg stands up and ups it to 6 years. This is all political jockeying for position because they seem to be frightened of this Farage fellow that's opened a can of worms and has raised the issue of Europe at the moment and is throwing down the gauntlet to the leaders of the bigger parties and forcing them to comment.
Lord Sugar?
What I say to them is, yes. What I say to them is, yes, we do need reform in the EU, but we should take no notice of Farage.
Lord Sugar, thanks very much for joining us.